Anyway, hi, hello, how are you? I hope you're having a wonderful day. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Maddie and I'm a multi-genre author. And if you are not new here, thank you so much for coming back. It means the world to me. My initial intro file for this video got corrupted, so I just needed to pop in and introduce this video. This is the start of my outlining series for my novel that I'm calling Project Dracula. I am determined to become an outliner instead of a pantser, so welcome to the start of my journey as I figure out how to make that happen. I want to talk about how I'm going to be approaching the outlining process as a non-outliner. I want to handwrite as much of the outline as possible and get as detailed as I possibly can. I have been reading about the benefits of handwriting over typing. It's a lot better for that connection to your brain. It's probably because it's so much more tactile than just like tapping on a letter is the same as tapping on any other letter. But I have problems with my wrists, so handwriting an entire novel is not really feasible for me, at least not if I don't want to have incredible burning pain. I don't think I can handwrite a novel, but I definitely think I can handle like a detailed outline. I'm going to start as vague as possible. I'm going to be hitting up some of my favorite reference books, like John Truby's The Anatomy of Story. I have talked about this book before, and I will talk about it again. It is my absolutely favorite book for writing. I use it for character and character dynamics, especially because I love how it talks about the intersection of characters and their relationships as they play on each other through a story. I think this first half of the outlining will be fairly standard for what I'm used to, but after that, instead of just jumping into the writing process, I'm going to break things down into scenes and chapters. Hopefully by the end, I'll have a fairly substantial document with like bullet points of actions that need to happen, character conflicts, what each scene accomplishes, whether it's character growth, plot progression, things of that nature. And I'm probably also going to be referencing my screenwriter's Bible from when I was in college, because this book will have elements of filmmaking, so I kind of want to like pay homage and really have a tightly written story. I'm going to be putting everything in my notebook. I love having a notebook dedicated to each project because then I can just fill it with whatever comes to my mind and then put it into the Notion template that I've made for this project. So I have started out with researching different things that I need to know. What I think I need to do now is I need to clarify the thing that the conflict, the moral question, my themes, and my characters. I'm going to write out a detailed synopsis and then break that up into the 3 acts, do the Save the Cat beat sheet. And then once I have that, it's time to break things down even more into those scenes and chapters and make sure everything is important and that it will say what I need it to say. So I don't think all of that's going to happen in like this one vlog, so I'm going to break this vlog up. So yeah, summary and logline, main character work, moral question and themes, and then developing the 3-act structure and beat sheet is the 4 goals for this vlog. So I am going to watch some YouTube videos about making detailed outlines while I do my nails because they're getting kind of long, and since I'm typing, I really don't like having long nails. But yeah, we've got our goals. Let's get it done. Hello. So today is officially day 1 of outlining my novel. I got a lot of good ideas from all the YouTube videos last night while I painted my nails. So super exciting way to do some self-care and research at the same time. So proud of myself. Anyway, so today I'm just going to focus on the summary, which is just going to be a brain dump of everything that's in my head right now, which I think will be good because I didn't have the subplot, any semblance of a subplot when last time I wrote down just like the gist of what was happening. So now I have a pretty good idea of what I think I want the subplot to be. So I definitely want to get that down in writing, and then I'm going to try to at least get started on the logline, write one or two, see how it's shaping up. And I think the logline will be really, really important to help me make sure that I'm staying focused as I write this and make sure everything in the outline is in support of that logline. And if you are not aware of what a logline is, it is basically just a very truncated summary. It gives you information on the protagonist, the conflict, and the antagonist, and that's pretty much it. So just a quick rundown of what's going to happen within the story, and they are very important for if you are writing scripts and trying to pitch them. And then since I'm going to be querying this novel, I think the logline will help a lot there as well, especially as I build out all of my query materials, which will happen later, especially with finding comps. That is my least favorite part of the process, but it'll be super important for helping the book find its legs and find its agent and hopefully find its publisher. But that is all way down the road. We're still in the beginning stages, so let's get a summary. I have a dark academia reading books while it is raining playlist pulled up for the full screen, just so I don't get distracted by going and clicking on Discord or Instagram or any of the 3 other sites that I use. Or the more productive ones that I have been going to lately is Substack and Aeon. I love reading the articles. I could read more, but that's neither here nor there. I'm getting lost on a tangent. Speaking of reading, though, on another tangent, I'm reading Jade Legacy, which is the final book in the Green Bone trilogy by Fonda Lee, and I'm really enjoying it, so I will probably read that before I go to bed. But it's not bedtime yet, so let's get to work. I finished my summary and I have a rough log line. It could probably be refined, but I think it is a good starting point for getting some serious character work in and some outlining. And then as I build on that, I can refine the log line a bit more by the time I start acquiring all my querying materials before I start sending it out. I don't think I need to get it perfect right now. I just needed a good general through line for the story. I did have to Google a few things as I was writing the summary just to make sure the story was making sense. This is my first time in a very, very long time writing something set in this world, so I don't want it to feel like you can tell I did all this research and I'm just adding things in to show off my knowledge of the film industry. I definitely don't want that, but also I don't want it to be you're reading it and it just does not make any sense, because I have read some books like that, even ones that deal with the film industry, and it's just the how this is how things are working just doesn't make any sense, or the timelines don't make any sense. So I'm not shooting for 100% accuracy, things you would only know if you live and breathe in the industry, but I want it to feel plausible, feel lived in, feel real. So there's a lot of fear of just how can I make this feel timely and timeless at the same time? And what is an okay reference to make when I'm working in my own made up world. I tend to not do any of that because obviously it doesn't exist in this world, or references to technology are fairly vague. But there's a lot of room to get more specific, but I don't want to be overly specific where it just really dates the piece or makes it seem cringy or anything like that. So I'm definitely gonna have to find a line, because I do want to touch on the parasocial relationships of us regular folk and celebrities. So I don't know. that is a question for later. Right now, I just have to focus on what the story is going to look like the rest of this week. So that gives me Wednesday through Sunday, and I'll probably take Saturday as like a rest day to do character work. And I'm going to be using John Truby's The Anatomy of Story for that, since I want to set up my major characters, certainly my protagonist, my antagonist, and then some of the really major supporting players as well. I think that's our goal for the rest of the week. And then what do we have after that? Moral questions and themes. So that might pop up with main character work. I kind of have a good general idea, but I definitely want to like sit down and clarify and make sure that my moral questions are aligned with the theme, and it's not like I'm trying to question 10 million different things that I just cannot fit into a well-built story. Like, it would just be way too meandering and things like that. I only have 3 minutes until sprints start because it is Wednesday, so that means it is writing sprints with the Rocky Mountain Writers Discord. And if you are a Colorado author and you would like a laid back but very yappy group of other Colorado authors to be in a Discord group with weekly writing sprints, then I will leave that linked down below in the description. For my drink of choice tonight, I have this popping boba, like Taiwanese tea. I think these are so freaking good. I have only seen them at my local 7-Eleven. So I don't know, maybe if you live in like a cooler place, they are in the regular stores, but for me, I have to go to the gas station, which is okay because it's a very like easy walk, and that's very nice. But yeah, we're going to do main character work. I have already pulled my list of reference books that I'm going to take a quick peek at. Of course, I have John Truby's The Anatomy of Story. I also have Wired for Story by Lisa Cron, and then The Foundations of Screenwriting, or maybe it's just called Screenplay, by Sid Field. There's a chapter on character. I think it will be helpful. So I'm going to take a peek at these and start writing out everything that I know about my characters. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. I think I vlogged. Did I vlog on Friday? I cannot remember. I know I didn't yesterday because Saturday ended up being just like a bed rot day. I mostly binged The Gilded Age on HBO and I caught up. So I actually have to wait for tonight for the next episode. And the last episode left off on such a tense spot. So I'm like eager for the next episode. I don't think the problems will be resolved in this episode though, because they're quite large, and if you watch The Gilded Age, you'll have to let me know what you think about it. I kind of am like rooting for Bertha and George because they are evil people, yes, for sure, but I feel like they are really well matched. Anyway, writing updates. I finished the protagonist, everything that I needed. This is fun for her. And I worked on the antagonist backstory and his general arc. So now I'm just going to define. So I got the change transformation, but now I need the dramatic need, point of view, and attitude to define those. And then I'll be done with the antagonist. And then I'm going to do the same thing with backstory, point of view, attitude, something else, dramatic need. Did I say that? And the change transformation, that arc for my subplot character. And then I'm going to make a note of all the characters that I have or need so I can start building them. I probably won't go as in depth, but I do want to determine what they are hoping to get out of their actions, because I find that having a dramatic need for each of my characters that plays a semi big role in the story, even if they're just like a recurring side character, someone that like shows up throughout the whole thing. It's really helpful to have them act in a way that makes sense for them when you know what their goals are in life, and then it's a lot easier to determine what their goal is for each scene. And I personally think it is one of the most important things to determine what each character wants out of a particular conversation or scene, so you can really understand how they're going to act, how they're going to speak, and how they're going to interact with the other characters in that particular circumstance. That also opens up the opportunity for a lot of organic tension and conflict as well. Okay, it's Thursday morning, and I just wanted to pop in for a quick check-in because I've not done that the past few days. I think I only filmed B-roll, and then I didn't film at all yesterday. My mental health just took a little dip, so I'm just trying to get through that. I'm just stressed about some personal things that I have to take care of, but it is stressful. But the good news is that I have been staying on track with working on Project Dracula. I have my Act 1 rough outline done, so it's more detailed than the summary, but still very far from where I want to be. But I'm very proud. I'm feeling a lot better about going into Act 2, which was my biggest fear for the project. I actually feel like I'm going to be able to comfortably fill out Act 2, and what I've changed is just really thinking about it in quarters instead of like Act 2 as this huge insurmountable thing. It's just 2 quarters, and I know where I want each of those, like the 25 or the 50 and 75% mark to end. So I think it'll be really good. And then I think after finishing that 3-act breakdown, that'll be a good place to end this vlog, and we will start part 2 with breaking things down into scenes and chapters, which will be the real test of how well this outlining process goes. But I'm really excited for it. I'm really proud of the progress I've made, and I've really also been enjoying Screenplay by Sid Field. I haven't read the whole thing through. I'm just picking out the chapters as I need them, but I'm really, really enjoying them. So I'll talk more about that book later, but I highly recommend. But yeah, I'm going to finish up my walk, pick up some breakfast, because I'm out, and then I will talk to you guys later. Hello. My later from Wednesday or Thursday morning turned into Saturday, so whoops. But it is what it is. It's okay. I didn't write the past 2 days. I actually watched the first Final Destination movie for like the first time ever yesterday because I've been seeing a lot about the new one, so I was like, well, why not? I feel like it was a pretty good horror movie. I always feel like the scariest horror movies for me are either the ones where it's like Final Destination, where there's not like you can't fight it, right? Like you can't fight death, you can't escape it. So that to me is like scarier than like a haunted house or something. I'm really enjoying this. I think I had mentioned that I haven't read it all the way through. I'm just picking out the chapters that I need. I looked at setting up the story and then starting to read about character, and it just makes sense to me. It clicks in my brain. It is informative, but offering insights rather than like a dry text. And he went through Chinatown, which I've never seen, but he included the first 10 pages of the screenplay. So reading through and seeing like how those first 10 pages sets up everything else in the story was really helpful to me. And I'm definitely going to use that, except since I am writing prose, not a script, I'm going to go that I have the first 10% to do that rather than the first 10 pages. I guess I just really like craft books that are more geared towards script writing for prose writing. I don't know why. I will be honest, I tried to read Stephen King's On Story and it felt more of a memoir than a like craft book. So I don't have any strong connection to Stephen King. Like I've only read one of his books and it was one of his most recent books, the story fairy tale or something like that. I cannot remember, but it was a very meh read for me. It was incredibly long and I could see the like homage to fairy tales and like those fantasy elements. It was just kind of meh. And the main character is supposed to be a teenager. He was not a believable teenager. So I watched the new movie, It, only the first one, and yeah, I don't know. I just don't have any strong connection to Stephen King, so maybe, if you are a fan of Stephen King, On Writing would probably be a lot more of an impactful read. So I want to continue to fill out my Act 2 and Act 3 rough outline, and I want to get out of the house because I've been in the house a lot. So I might go to the library and sit down, just find a cozy place to sit and write. I have a pretty good idea in my head of where Act 2 is going to end, and then I am discovering how Act 3 is going to end. I have a pretty good idea, and since I have my characters built out and I don't have all of the information on them yet, but I think as I go scene by scene, I'm going to learn more about all of the side characters so I can fill out my Notion story Bible as those things come up. So I think by the time I'm ready to sit down and start drafting, I am feeling confident. We'll see when it gets to the scene by scene. That's what I'm most worried about. But as far as setting up the Act 2, I'm feeling less worried than I initially was, because Act 2 is really where I suffer the most with setting it up and making it work. And I think I have a good idea of the main things I need to hit and how it's going to work. Yap session over. Let's get the tote bag ready and go to the library to get some writing done. I'm back from the library. It was very successful. I picked up a book, Ring Shout by P. Djele Clark. I've seen this book all over recommendation lists and on social media. So when I saw it, I knew I had to pick it up. Pretty short. It's just a novella. So I might read this concurrently with Jade Legacy, but either way, I'm going to read this before I jump into Parable of the Sower, because it is a library book. So there's a deadline to turn it back in. But beyond picking up a book, I also finished my brief 3-act breakdown, which I'm very excited for. I can see the story shaping, and I made some notes to myself of things that I'll have to make apparent in the beginning as I am building up this story. I think that general fiction is probably going to be the best bet for it. I want it to have a gothic feel, but at its core, it is about the relationship between the two characters and how they are a microcosm for the relationship of celebrity to the rest of the world and the power dynamics and everything that go with that. So I think general fiction is probably going to be the best. My ideal future with an agent is I really admire R.F. Kuang's ability to write both general fiction, like lit fic, and genre fiction with the fantasy that she has written. So I really admire that, and I would also like to have that same freedom to write genre fiction and general fiction. But yeah, I think this is a good place to end this part of the outlining vlog, and then I will start the next one right away, but this just feels like a good ending point, and then we'll start breaking things down. I really want, when I think of the kind of writing style that I want to be known for, I really want a strong character-driven element with a tightly written plot. I think that's where I want to be. So that's going to be my goal. I want a plot that is moving forward and exciting, but also really built on the characters' actions, beliefs, thoughts, and feelings, and all of that stuff. So yeah, that is all I have. Yay for outlining. I feel like we're in a good place, though we'll see in the next one how the details get, because that's normally we'll see how the next one gets when I have to start filling in all the details. But yeah, this was a really productive vlog. Thank you so much for joining me if you have made it this far. If you want to stay up to date with the journey, then consider subscribing to my channel, like this video, leave a comment or not. Thank you just so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I really like making YouTube videos because it keeps me so much more accountable than when I am not making YouTube videos. So that is all I have for you this time, and in 2 weeks we will see how the rest of the outlining process goes.